What I'd be doing if I was starting a business as a 25-year-old, I would really be understanding what value I can bring. In the beginning, you may not necessarily know exactly what that is, but you have to start somewhere. You have to have an ideal dream client that you want to go after, and that's going to make your job marketing so much easier because you know who to go after.
To your point, the marketing for what I was doing, not only did we like double, triple, quadruple our pricing and our packages and have people that were like booking, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe this. But the confidence that I had in knowing who I needed to market to at that point and what circles I needed to network in, it was like the most clarity. And I just felt like, you know, the sea had parted and I was like, this is the way.
I love the word vibe because it's instantaneous. You get a vibe from, you know, talking to someone. Like as soon as you meet them, and that first impression, that's what you have. You have a couple of seconds. You want to give the right vibe. And to get that right vibe, you need some clarity. And the clarity has to be on, you know, who you're servicing and what value you bring and how you're positioned in the marketplace as well. So what you want to be remembered for. And that's going to make your job easier because people go to you for that particular style or whatever it is, because that's how you position yourself. That's the perception that you're putting out to others. So you have to think about what perception you want to give to others.
On episode 413 of the podcast, we talk about the importance of brand clarity and positioning for business success. We also discuss how to differentiate yourself in a crowded market through strategic branding. And then we go over the value of investing in professional branding services, even for small businesses or solopreneurs or freelancers, all that and so much more in today's episode. Here we go. What is up, my filmmaker friend? Hey, I'm Ryan Coral, and I'm very happy that you are here. This is the Grow Your Video Business show where I share or I bring on guests to share and talk about different ways that we can grow and scale our video production businesses. So I've been doing this work for 20 years. This is my 20 year, I was going to say 20 month, this month marks 20 years of me doing this. This is when I left the little tiny Christian college that I worked at to launch my video production business. And man, I've learned so many things. So many things have happened over the course of 20 years. And I just love sharing the wins and the losses and all the things in between. And I'm happy that you're here. And my hope is that you walk away from this episode challenged, encouraged, inspired, but that you would take action, that you would take, even if it's just one thing from this episode, and you would apply that to your life and to your business to help you. That would be a huge win for me. If you're new here, then you may not have heard me talk about this. I run a mastermind. I run a couple of masterminds. And what this is, it's a small group of 12 or less students that we meet virtually twice a month over a platform like Zoom. And each month we kind of just go over wins of the week, what people have done, what's gone well personally, professionally over the last couple of weeks since the last time that we met. And then 2 people each session go on the hot seat, and they can bring whatever struggle, issue, frustration, question that they have for the group to get insights and ideas and feedback and input and whatever on things that get us stuck. If you've ever been stuck in your business, or you've been like stalled, I guess that's the same thing as stuck, where you're just sitting on like maybe you're building a new page on your website and you just can't figure out the title. Like, what is this? What's the first line that this thing should say? I've been in a spot like that with so many different things where I'm like, I just don't even know where to start. Having a group of people that are for your success, that have experience and that are smart, to be able to have them speak into the struggles or questions that you have. It's been one of the most life-changing things that I've done in my business. And this is, I think, the 4th year, maybe the 5th year that I'll have been running masterminds, and people keep coming back and attending and being a part of this because it is so helpful to get these insights, but also we become this tight-knit community. We will do a retreat at least once a year. We're all together, and the connection, the friendship really makes it feel like you're not alone, and not even feel, but you are not alone. So if you're interested, we're taking applications right now for the mastermind. The mastermind is launching in January, and depending on when you listen to this episode, if you're listening to it in the middle of the year, you can still apply to the mastermind. But right now, the next iteration we're going to launch in January. And so if it's before January, if it's like, this episode comes out, I think sometime in November, apply now, and then we'll have a conversation. We'll interview you if you seem like you'd be a good fit. A short little interview, and then you can lock your spot in. It's not as expensive as you might think it is. There's a bunch of testimonials and reviews and all the information, FAQ stuff on the mastermind page. If you go to studiosherpas.com/mastermind, you can read all about it. So this is my plug. This is one of my most favorite things to do. Bring people together, be able to facilitate amazing conversation, to see a community grow. I grow, I learn things, I walk away, and the people that invest in this group do as well. So check it out, studiosherpas.com/mastermind. We're taking applications right now, launching in January. Really excited about this next cohort. So check that out. And that's all I have right now. So with that, let's jump into this interview with Jacob Cass right now. Okay, here we go. What is up, friends? Hey, welcome to another episode of the show. Today with me is Jacob Cass. He is a brand designer and strategist and founder of Just Creative. Hey, Jacob, just welcome to the show.
Thank you, mate. Pleasure to be here.
Terrible.
Happy to talk shop in the fancy podcast.
Oh man, it's so good. I always love talking to people that are literally on the other side of the globe. You're up early. I'm staying late, but it's all good. Tell me, I love talking to people that are into branding and marketing and all of the things. When my first business 20 years ago, I launched my business in 2004, and then it wasn't until 2007 or 8 that I had a friend that I was going to church with. I didn't understand what he did for a living. I thought he did design stuff, and then he ended up saying hey, I'd love to help brand your company. And I'm like, okay, that sounds cool. He's like, I won't charge you. I'm like, okay, cool, free whatever, free logo. Is that what I get? And that process, going through that process, I was like, wow, this is fascinating. And ever since then, branding and copywriting, when I run into people, I guess design too, but when I run into people that are so good at those things, I'm just like, oh, it's just like magic to me. So I love the kind of work that you do. When did you, when did the spark kind of happen where you said this is I'm good at this and I kind of like it, and I think I could actually turn this into a business or something?
Well, I'd probably be the guy asking, do you want me to brand your business back then? So that was
yeah.
I was that guy. So 2007 is when I registered my business. I think I was dabbling in, doing things beforehand, just on the side before that. So maybe 2004 as well. I think was about the same years. I was probably that guy, actually. Most definitely. But yeah, just for clarity here, what I do, I work in brand, but at my heart, I'm a graphic designer. So that's what I was trained in. That's what I went to university for. But these days, I'm a business coach. I'm a strategist as well. I help businesses grow through positioning, through strategy, through brand identity, and all that good stuff. But to answer your question, when this started, it was in my bones from the beginning. I was always in the creative side of things, just like many creatives. Definitely rebelled against sciences and maths and everything. So it was in my DNA from the beginning. I tried to draw and quickly realized that I could not draw. However, I did come across a pirated Photoshop at one stage.
I think we all came across that.
Yeah. Yeah. One day back in, I don't know what year, but yeah, I started morphing my friends' photos together, school photos. And that's how I started in Photoshop. And I was just, quick circles, cut, paste, and suddenly you have a face morph. So that's how I got into it. And then we had a graphic design class where it was very basic, but it was just illustration and, understanding the basic principles. And I really loved that class. And then my careers advisor when I went to see them, said, well, did you know there's a graphic design career? And I was like, no, what's that? So that's when it's like the light bulb went off and I was like, okay, this is for me. So the next couple of years through school, I did more of like the design focused things, and then went to university, studied visual communication. And that's how I got started, really. And I've pretty much been self-teaching myself since then.
And so what does the bulk of your work look like today?
So these days I do a lot of brand identity, and that includes working on the positioning of the brand and the messaging, as well as logos, working on the fonts and the colors, their language, websites. But also before that, I often go through a strategic period with the client to understand, how to actually connect with their customer, know who their company is, and how to actually stand out in the marketplace. And that has allowed me to create better designs and, help elevate their business further. Previously in my career, I just, focused on the logos. And then as I grew, I focused on brand identity. And then as I grew, I focused on strategy. And these days I'm doing the whole mix. I'm doing the strategy and then the design and then helping them with growing as well. So marketing. So it's pretty much the whole process. And that's my client side of my business. I have another side of my business where it's focused on helping creatives, other brand builders, videographers, logo designers, people, anyone creative really is what I help with. Help them with their business. So pretty much the same things I do with the other side, the entrepreneurs and the business owners, but I also do it for creatives. And I have a community. I run a podcast called Just Branding and a few other things, which I won't get into all of them.
Quintessential entrepreneur.
Yes.
I kind of resonate a little bit. So let's just say I'm the 25-year-old version of myself. I've just started my business. So I'm taking on video clients and I run into you and I'm like, dude, oh, you're a designer. Yeah, check out. I designed this little logo for my business card and I'm in business. I'm doing this thing. The version of you today that knows that branding is much more than just a logo, explain to me like I'm 25 and I know nothing about business outside of oh my gosh, I'm running a business and I've got my logo and I'm ready to make videos. What do I need? Do I need positioning? Do I need, a brand? What even is that? Is that something that somebody early on in their business should be thinking about? And what does that actually mean?
Okay, first off, it's okay if you think your brand is just a logo. Everyone starts there, but you quickly realize that there's more to business than just the front and the facade. And I worked in brand for a number of years before I even realized that. So I don't blame you. However, brand runs deep. It really does. It's a deep rabbit hole. And the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know. And I think that's the same with a lot of things. But if you're a 25-year-old, come in and I need to get a business started. There are some essentials that you need. So that's why you generally go through the checklist. It's well, I need a logo, I need a website, I need some copy, I need a business card. And it's okay, now I have a business, I have a brand. But you have part of a brand. You haven't necessarily done all the strategic work to help elevate your business and make it grow faster and connect with your key customers. So that's why before jumping into the visual identity, some of those things I explained, you need to take a step back and you need to think about your business. What value are you bringing to your customer? What is your core service? And who is your key customer? Those are the most important things. However, there are pesky competitors out there. So you also have to stand out against the competitors. So it is a three-pronged approach. Yeah, pesky. So pesky. So what I'd be doing if I was starting a business as a 25-year-old, I would really be understanding what value I can bring. And in the beginning, you may not necessarily know exactly what that is, but you have to start somewhere. If you're a photographer or a videographer, do you do weddings or do you do, I don't know, I'm not in video, but landscapes or whatever it is, you have to understand what your value is and how can you stand out? Well, you're going to have to look at your competitors. What value do they bring? How are they branding themselves? And then looking at your customer, who are you going to serve? You have to have an ideal dream client that you want to go after. And that's going to make your job marketing so much easier because you know who to go after. So just to reiterate, you have to know your company and the value, and you have to know what's authentic to you. You have to know your customer or your dream client that you want to go after. And you also have to understand the marketplace, right? Who are your competitors and how are you going to stand out against them? So it's that process that you go through first before you jump to the logo or identity. So I don't know. I'll just leave it there because we can go deeper, but
yeah. Well, I'll just share my version. Like, so what happens, I'm 25, running my video business for 2 years. I fell into like the wedding film industry 6 months after I started doing video, and I was like, oh yeah, this like I can do this. Andrew and I were newly married, and I did one wedding for like $500 and they loved it, and I loved like kind of like researching, and I'm like, I'm telling like love stories. This is really cool, and like legacy pieces for families. So I'm doing it for 2 years, and then my buddy DJ says, hey, like I would love to take you through a branding process. I'm like, okay, like we go through this branding process. And by then, he's asking me these kinds of questions like, who's your ideal client? And I'm like, well, man, I've shot so many different weddings, and the best ones have been the ones where like people actually have a lot of money, because it makes my job easier because everything's prettier and makes the video prettier. And, and I've shot some really low budget weddings that it's just like, at least for the kind of stories that I wanted to be telling. So we're defining all of these things. And then when he presents the brand to me, not only is there this logo, but the copy, it's so elevated, and we're targeting this like high-end luxury clientele that my old brand just you didn't feel that at all. But you see the logo and you read the text and the colors and all this stuff, and it's like, wow, this feels. So then, to your point, the marketing for what I was doing, not only did we like double, triple, quadruple our pricing and our packages, and have people that were like booking, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe this. But the confidence that I had in knowing who I needed to market to at that point, and what circles I needed to network in, it was like the most clarity. And I just felt like, the sea had parted, and I was like, this is the way. And every time we've gone through a branding, when we branded our corporate commercial brand, same thing. It's very similar. That's been a lot tougher to navigate, because we're like, well, we work with small business, and it's like every small business needs a brand film. It's like, okay, well, not narrowing that has been probably our biggest challenge over the last 12 years. But man, when we were doing weddings, that was like the easiest way. It was like we knew when we were creating social content, we knew when we were going to networking events, we knew who to reach out to. It was just like so stinking easy.
Yeah, the key word there was clarity, and that's essentially what I do. I give clarity to business owners, and that's through going through that process. Because if you don't have strategy, you're going to have a much harder time connecting, and the designs that you're creating are essentially art, because you're just seeing what sticks. Is not based on any strategy. And just to take your example further, let's say that you weren't going after the luxury end of the market. You're like, oh, you're the budget end. The whole look and feel of your brand is going to be totally different. Right? It's going to be more of a no-frills approach, and it's going to come across as more economical and approachable. If you went to a luxury wedding photographer's site, you're going to expect there to be some, premium nature to it. Like full bleed photos and luxury, like spaced out type and very clear, clever typography and copy. The whole vibe is different. And it's the same when you go into a shop, right? You go into like Louis Vuitton, and the vibe is that, okay, this is expensive. There's a security guard at the door. There's so much white space and air. There's perfume. Like, you get it straight away. This is expensive. So I love the word vibe, because it's instantaneous. You get a vibe from talking to someone. Like, as soon as you meet them, that first impression, that's what you have. You have a couple of seconds. You want to give the right vibe. And to get that right vibe, you need some clarity. And the clarity has to be on, who you're servicing and what value you bring and how you're positioned in the marketplace as well. So what you want to be remembered for. Oh, here's the wedding photographer that does beach style photos. Or maybe it's like, either he does church wedding photography, or maybe he does both. It depends on how you want to be remembered and what you want to be known for. And that's going to make your job easier, because people go to you for that particular style or whatever it is, because that's how you position yourself. That's the perception that you're putting out to others. So you have to think about what perception you want to give to others. That's another way to think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's such an important part in, I would say, my experience was like, yeah, I was 2 years into running a business, and, I think I was having growing pains, and there was, I think, a little bit of frustration. It was still really exciting, but early on enough in your business, not too early. I would almost say like, you don't really want to do a full like brand process when you just start out. Cause there's part of me doing video. I was 6 months in before I shot a wedding, and I was like, oh, wait, no, this is, I really like this. And then it was, 24 weddings in, and I was like, ooh, high end, luxury, expensive. That, yeah, okay. And then, so it continues to get refined, but just going through that process, especially, I would say more importantly for the majority of our audience, are corporate and commercial filmmakers that have, I think, fallen into the trap that I was in for the longest time, and sometimes still find myself in that trap of not having, there's not a small business, like small business is not a niche, like this massive, it's like one of the biggest
Yeah, it's like
markets.
90% of the whole business sector.
Yeah. So like, how do you market? And then it's like, okay, well, video service, like what video service are you going to market? Just say like, well, I can do anything. It's like that you're not standing out. So just talk about like, I mean, I get fired up just thinking.
Yeah. So there's many different angles, right? And what you're talking about, kind of touching on, is positioning. And I just briefly mentioned on that, like, what do you want to be remembered for? Like, what's your angle? So in the video niche, I recently worked with a videographer to create a brand story. And I know you work in story a lot, Ryan. That's part of your kind of positioning a little bit from what I've seen. It's like, well, you're the storytelling videographer. That's the angle. And the content, I'm not going to talk about you, Ryan, but the videographer I worked with, his whole angle was about storytelling. So the content he produced was all focused on storytelling, how to tell great stories. And that positioned him, in my mind, that he was the storytelling expert. So when I was looking for a videographer to tell my brand story, like in a 3-minute video or less, I'm like, oh, this guy does what I need. And it's like, okay, well, it made sense. He wasn't positioned as a wedding videographer, and that wouldn't connected. So I went to someone that specialized in that. So you have to understand what you specialize in, what work you want to be doing. If you're early in your career, you can create mock projects to put in your portfolio to show and communicate what you do. Or you can work, for a very discounted rate, or, complimentary, or you could do a barter deal. Like, there's so many ways to get started, and everyone starts from the bottom, which is important to remember. Like, as we get older, Ryan, like we forget that, like, this, like, we haven't just been here the whole time. Like, we started like everyone at the bottom. You have to create those projects and show what value you can bring. And yeah, I'll leave it there.
Yeah, I mean, the iterations of not even just the business, but like what I want from the business or out of the business, or like what things I'm passionate about. I mean, that's changed, a bazillion times over the last 20 years. So there's just so many layers, but having clarity, having some guardrails, and I think that's what, going through branding exercises helps you do, is just say like, hey, let's just say, even if we just said, here's what we don't do, that could be very, very helpful for somebody, for a video business owner, instead of feeling like you've got to take on every single project that comes your way. Cause like, who knows? It's like, man, if you could say, you don't like doing event filmmaking at all, and you just don't do it, like, that's great. Just be clear about that. And then I think one step further, I'm always sharing when people are asking me to look at their website, like, don't ever put work on your website that you don't want to be hired for. Right. I think there's a feeling that, well, this is our latest project, and it was a cool project. I mean, I don't want to do stuff in automotive, but it looks really cool, so I'll put it on my site. It's like, well, like, don't do that.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's okay in the beginning because your portfolio is small, but
right.
Like, if you don't want to be doing that, like, you probably wouldn't even, just doing a project in that space anyway. So yeah, I'm with you.
So you just went through, did you go through the whole story brand process, or what did you just do in your business?
It wasn't necessarily story brand. Like, my website actually has the story brand process on the homepage. I went through that in the book. I love that book, by the way. Story Brand by Donald Miller. And I think that's the most marked up book I have on my shelf. And I have like post-it notes all through it, and like underlines and everything. And very applicable, especially in the web space. Actually, I think it was kind of focused on that, so it was really, really powerful. The process he went through was kind of like the hero's journey, and you have you all know it, so I won't go through it all. But that's the process he followed, and he came up with like the B-roll and the whole structure of it, and I just did the talking. He did all the setup and everything. So that was all new to me. Like I've never worked in video, and he set up my studio here with all the light and everything. So I'm very thankful for that. It was like a double-edged project. He set up my studio, and we did the whole shoot as well. But I was very happy with how it turned out.
And so how are you going to use that video?
So where we're using that, so I have that in my email signature. So whenever I send an email, there's a little GIF that comes up that shows me, it's like a second GIF, and people click through there. I have it on my About page. I have it on my home page. I have it linked in my social channels, and it's like a middle of the funnel marketing tool, I guess. And then I have some testimonial videos I also created with him for the bottom of the funnel. So people, if they really want to go a little bit deeper, there's some video aspects, and they get lower views. However, those people are down in the funnel. If they're watching testimonial videos, they're close to buying or making a call. So they're important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. Good to note. Take note of that, my friend that's listening to this episode. If you don't have testimonials, and then make sure that if you're getting testimonies, you're getting the right kind of testimonies, not just ones where people are just like, "Oh, Ryan's awesome," or "Jacob, he's great. He's just fun to work with." It's like, okay, that stuff is nice, but did I help you get any results?
Yeah, it's a story. It's a story as well. The same principle applies. Like, where were you before? What were you looking for? How did Just Creative help you with that, and what were the results? It's like it's this little arc, right?
Yeah, that's why I really do. I'm encouraging everyone. You could send out the form, hey Phil, could you give us a review testimonial, or send me an email or whatever, or hey, do you have 10 minutes? We could hop on a Zoom call and I could just record and just ask you a couple of questions about what it was like working with me or our team or whatever. And then when somebody says something, then you can actually ask a follow-up question. And then if they're okay with it, when you're done, it's like you've got a recorded video and you don't have to put your face on it. You can just use their window. Just a super easy way to, have them tell a story, and then for them to not feel like, oh, I'm making a video on my iPhone to send over, so it's got to be polished, and it's got to, this is going to kind of be awkward. But if you're just doing a conversation, that's going to feel probably the most natural and authentic.
Yeah. Or on the opposite end of that, so I had one in person where we went to it was like a fitness studio owner, and we went to his studio and we recorded everything on site. But then I had 4 or 5 overseas. So 95% of my clients are not near me at all. They're all overseas. So I had to get video testimonials from Zoom or another service. And it wasn't perfect, but the videographer actually spliced it into a Zoom window and made it appear like it was in Zoom. And it had some nice transitions and things. So it kind of elevated a bit further from just oh, here's a video testimonial. And he had questions that went through the story arc as well. And he did the interview and not myself. So that kind of helped as well. And it was in person, not just a pre-recorded, hey, record to the camera. It was it helped that he was asking questions. There was some live interaction behind it. I think that really made it a little bit more natural. I think that's what you're hinting on.
Yeah, that's cool. I think if your brand is done the right way, your positioning is correct, as a person who has that stuff, your confidence goes up, and you kind of feel like, okay, I'm on this mission now. I know who I need to be talking to. When it comes to selling, do you have any I don't know, just any thoughts on how you've experienced a good brand in improving or helping along in that process?
Proving or selling. So I like to think of this as framing. So what's the frame of your brand? You should already be selling based on the vibe and the messaging and your identity. All of this is selling. So you shouldn't be selling on the phone, because people are going through the process of checking you out online, or checking out reviews, or checking out your work, and looking at testimonial videos. So all of that is doing the selling. So by the time they're on the phone, You have to understand, okay, well, what are you actually looking for? What problem are you trying to solve? What results are you looking for? Versus, oh, here's my packages. You have to really listen, ask the right questions, diagnose first, and then you can come in, well, here's some possible solutions to help with that particular problem. So rather than having, select packages, I prefer, this is just my preference. I work in a different space in branding, but to customize a package based on their diagnosis and the results that they're looking for. And to take this a little bit further, like clients don't necessarily always know what they want, but they do.
Right.
You have to kind of like dig deeper to understand what they need. They'll say, oh, I need a logo, but they actually need a successful business or more clients, or they don't understand their business or positioning. So it's like you as a service provider need to think as yourself as a partner to connect with them, right? So it's not about you just delivering on, a video. It's like, well, how can I partner with you to grow your business? As soon as you get into that frame of mind, it's more of a transformation versus a transaction, and that's a frame of mind you need to get into. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I love that. I think if I'm on a call and I'm like, ooh, yeah, okay, so they're kind of saying the right things. They know that they have a need. They're not exactly clear. Maybe they think it's a brand video or whatever. But as soon as I can put on that hat of like, hey, hang on. Like instead of us like talking like this way, come alongside, stand next to me. Like let's pretend like we're at the desk together, looking at the blueprint and kind of figuring this out. Like I want to become an extension of your brand, and I want to become a thinking partner and really say like, if this is my business. And so I've been saying that a lot more, and it's helping me think like, hey, if this is my business, here's what I would do. I think a brand video is definitely smart, but like maybe based on what you've told me, right? Because I've asked questions, I'm hearing them. I think that, if this is my business, I would consider a social strategy, and I would do that for 3 to 6 months to see how that goes. And then if it kind of goes in this direction, then consider the brand video, because we can't do it all at once. You're not going to be able to roll everything out all at once. So if it were me, this is what I would do. But like, what do you think about that? Turning or becoming a partner with them and thinking strategically. I mean, it doesn't feel salesy. It's not like you're trying to dupe them into something. It's like, if you can literally think, what do you think would be best for them? Not like, okay, how much money do they have to spend, and like, how can we maximize their budget and all those things. Although I do like to do that. Like, okay, yes. I always tell people that too. I'm like, give me your budget range. Let's just talk about this. I'm like, I'm not going to, our pricing is what it is. It's like if somebody else came to us with the same thing, we're going to price right about the same thing. So, but if you give me the high end, I'm going to give you a package that's right around the high end. But then also I'm going to give you some more economical options, because if we can do this very economically and it's going to save my team time, then we're not going to have to do all of these things. Hopefully there are other campaigns that we can do that, you've got this big budget. We can do other projects and work away at that budget. So that's what I do.
Yep. No, I agree. And they may not necessarily need what you're offering, but you can share your point of view. And because of that, you're elevating that trust. And because of that, they'll come back to you when you're ready, and they'll recommend you to others. So it's definitely something to be wary of.
Do you do like like when you're working with a new client, or you're onboarding, or you're just trying to figure out, is this person to fit? Do you do any kind of a paid workshop, or like, what does that process look like for you?
Yeah. So my process is I have a calendar booking form, which is a free like discovery call, if you will. It's generally 15, 30 minutes just to understand what they're looking for, see if we can help them. Then from that point, either I sell in a longer call, or like booking another call, another complimentary one, or if we're very aligned, I'll sell in a workshop, and that workshop will be 3-4 hour workshop where we'll diagnose the problem, and we'll look at some of those areas that I spoke about before, like what's the value that you're bringing, who is your key customer, where are your competitors, how do you sit in that mix, like have you thought about your brand's personality or messaging or your voice, or like anything like that. So we customize that workshop based on the first discovery call and what we want to work on the results we're looking for. And then from that workshop, then I can put together a more formal proposal based on their requirements. And then after that, we can choose what we're going to execute on first and the vendors we need to work with, or if I'm working on it and so forth. So that's generally the process that we go through.
Yeah, that's great. Love the paid workshop. What would you say? I mean, I've talked to so many different branding agency owners. I have friends that do this work. What differentiates you from somebody else?
For me, I run a one-man show. So people come to me and they can do everything from start to finish. There's no middleman, and you don't have to go to different vendors. So you can literally go through from strategy, starting a business from scratch, right through to, the design and identity, even a website and launch and marketing all in one with one person. So they can save money that way because you're not paying for creative directors or middlemen or interns even. You're going to work directly with myself, and it's a much more personalized relationship. It may be a little bit slower if you did it that way because you don't have a full team. Maybe, depending on the project, it could be faster. It depends. Some agencies are pretty slow these days. There's probably less lead time because agencies have bigger lead time. But yeah, I think the biggest value is my understanding of business, marketing, design, and the cross-section of those things. And I think that's what makes a really powerful, service provider, is that you understand the mechanics of business and how things work and have empathy and understand the customer and that point of view. And that's where the value is. And that helps create better designs, and it really helps elevate the results as well. So that's part of it. I also think having a proven process that you can guide clients through helps. So you're positioned in a way that gets them there. So that's a part of my difference. And in terms of my positioning, what people often remember me for is this flamingo character in the background. So my brand is very pink, magenta, and I have this flamingo mascot called Pinky, who you'll probably never forget once you see. That is kind of our mascot, our brand. And we have different slogans and sayings like "Stand the flock out" or "Let's flaming go," or, so there's little nuances like that kind of position our brand in a fun, clever, memorable way without being too, crude. So those are some of our things on how we differentiate and have a bit of fun in the process. So yeah, if you don't see, I'll see if you can see the.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I don't know if it's going to focus. Yeah, there you go. So on the pillow there is Pinky, and that's our little mascot. So
that's great. What I love about that, positioning means that you're taking a stance, right? You have a position. And so you share that with somebody, and somebody might be like, "Oh, cool. You're not for us. We only work with like teams. We want, 5, 10 people. We want interns. We want to know that, some people are doing lower level work, other people are doing, and we want to be charged a ton of money for it." Right. I mean, I don't know if they would necessarily say that. But that's the beautiful thing in owning who you are, who you serve, how you do it, not feeling like you have to be the jack of all trades or you have to, be the branding expert for everyone, but knowing your market, also taking a stance and saying like, hey, we're going to be a little like, not like everybody else. We're going to have Pinky, and it's kind of like this is our MO. And if you don't like that vibe, like we're probably not for you because this is us. So I think that's so important. Otherwise, we all look and sound the same, and that's just so boring. And it's not helpful for clients when they're choosing somebody because they don't actually know what they're getting until you're in the work. And it's like, oh, wow, you're really sarcastic and we don't like that. Or wow, you're super conservative and we don't like that. And it's like the sooner you can get a no, right? The sooner you can get people to actually know or understand. We use video with soul. That's our tagline. And it's like when you can share your soul with people, they get you way sooner.
Yeah, I'm on board with that the soul aspect, Ryan. That's really what I do, is to understand the soul of business, what's authentic to the business. And that's what those workshops do. It's like you understand the client and what value they want to bring and what value they want to bring to the world, rather than just like, making money. It's like, well, what is the soul? What's the DNA? What's the essence of your brand? And that's so important. I always start there. Like, why are you here? It's a big question. Yeah. So I'll leave it at that.
Branding with soul. That's your new tagline. You're welcome. Okay. So give me an action step for video business owner, it's like, okay, maybe I haven't done any, I've never, I paid somebody to help design a logo or whatever. Like what is a good next step for somebody that would consider going through some kind of a branding process?
Work with a professional. Like if you do it for yourself, like you'll get the essentials, but it just will be a slower process and you may not necessarily have that connection straight away. If you work with a professional, there will be an upfront cost, but in the long term, you're going to have a much easier time and you'll get that cash back. Like that is a guarantee because you'll send the right message, right? You know who your customer is, you know the value you bring, you know how you're going to stand out in the marketplace, and you know how to connect with your audience. And if you can do that, like you're going to have a much easier time. So go through the process, work with a professional, get yourself established, and invest in yourself because you're going to get that money back. And the best investment is in yourself. Like it honestly is throughout your whole life.
Yeah.
And your
100%.
Business is an arm of yourself. It's an extension of yourself. So you have to think about it that way. Invest, learn, take baby steps. You don't have to do everything at once. Like you don't have to go to the best branding agency in the world. You can find someone, on Fiverr or, somewhere else, like I was going to say third world country, but like another, you know what I'm talking about. Offshore. That's offshore. That's what the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
So baby steps, go offshore, grow. Then when you get to, have some more money, you can invest higher, reposition, rebrand, whatever it may be. So that's how I'd go about it.
And just so you guys know, Jacob, 95% of his clients aren't in Australia. Are you in Melbourne? Where are you at?
I'm in Sydney.
Sydney. Okay. So Jacob, tell us how can people, if they want to connect with you, if they want to consider that intake call or whatever, where's the best way to check you out, listen to your show, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah. So justcreative.com is my brand, my website, and all the handles are pretty much just at Just Creative. I do want to mention a free download that's on our website. It's called the Branding Briefcase, and it's not just one like lead magnet. It's like a whole bundle of resources, like tons of value in there. So there's a brand strategy workbook. There's a logo design inspiration. There's sales call scripts. There's custom GPTs and AI bots that you can download. This is all for free, obviously in exchange for an email address. That's all I ask for. And no spam or anything like that, but it is a ton of value. And I keep adding to this branding briefcase over time. So you can either go to justcreative.com, you'll get a pop-up to download it. And I hope I can connect with you. If you have questions, you can find me on the DMs. I hang out on LinkedIn and Instagram quite often. So feel free to, hit me up.
Awesome. Dude, so good. Appreciate you getting up extra early to hang out with me today.
Not at all, mate. I've been up way earlier than talking to you. I have 3 kids, so they keep me busy.
I have 3 as well. Yeah. I think I got up at 5:30 this morning, but not for the kids, for me. Pumping iron, just getting huge.
That's next.
Anyway, yeah. Great to meet you, dude. I'm excited for you and your business, all the things that you've got going on. And again, thank you for spending time with me and our audience today.
Likewise, mate. It was a pleasure. I always love talking shop. So until next time.
All right, friend, I hope this episode was awesome for you. Super fun. Always fun talking to somebody on the other side of the world, and sort of fascinating that like it just works, right? We're hours apart and it's just like the internet. It's magic. It's so cool. Anyway, would love to hear your takeaway from this episode. Is there something that you're going to start doing or something you're going to stop doing, or just something that was like, this is a big aha moment for me? Would love for you to put that in the comments. If you want to email me, you can do that. Send your email to ryan@studiosherpas.com. I would love to hear from you. And if you want to review this show, feel free to do that. I love. I used to read, like the first couple of years of the show, I would read a testimonial that you could leave on the like Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever. And I haven't done that in a long time, but that would be fun. So if you leave a review, I will read it, unless it's like mean. Even if it's mean, that could be kind of funny. But if I get a bunch of those, I'll probably stop. If I get one or two mean ones, but regardless, there's a very good chance that your review would get read on the show. Wow, then you might be kind of famous. I mean, geez, let's go. Okay, that's all I've got. Remember, you can apply for the mastermind at studiosherpas.com/mastermind. So if you're feeling that nudge, just apply. There's no commitment. You're not locked into anything, but apply and let us know. Let us see your application come through, and then hopefully we can get a call scheduled with you to do a short little interview and all that stuff. So that's it, my friend. Thank you for being here. I am with you. I am for your success, and I'll see you on the next episode. Until then, bye for now.